Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday stuff and things. Am I in focus? Let me look. Does it seem as though my face is being tracked? Yes, I know. There were some issues with focus the last couple weeks. Basically what happened, it took quite a bit of experimentation to figure this out because I was doing video footage in other places and never had the issue with the autofocus. I discovered that a very, very thoughtful gift that was given to me by my fiance was actually the culprit. It is this really cool ad here for Klompenklogen, and it's like an old pipe blend, and it's an ad from, it looks like the late 60s. And I had put that up. Let's see, is it gonna focus on that now? I'm not sure. But I put it up and I have eye tracking enabled on my camera. And so it was, the sensitivity was such that it was looking for other things to focus on. And sometimes if I would like put my hand in front and it would focus on that, then take it down, it would wanna snap to her eyes. And so basically there are sensitivity settings that you can do to make it so the eye autofocus doesn't search and make it more locked on to the main subject. I've tweaked those, but I'm still a little too nervous to trust it right now. So we're keeping little Miss Klompenklogen off for the moment. Hopefully we can put her back up at some point. We had replaced the happy family with her in that frame. But we shall see. But we have many things to talk about on this Sunday Stuff and Things. We're going to be talking about some upcoming videos. I want to talk about a little bit of the response I got to last week's video when I was going crazy trying to figure out what that certain type of electronic music is that seems to play over every second YouTube video. So we got some good responses. I think I finally figured it out, sort of. We're going to talk a little bit about what I was dealing with this last week as far as work goes and some of the conditions I was working in and how just soul-crushing it was becoming. And then we will talk about some really cool gifts that I've received recently from a very good friend, something very cool or several things that are very cool. I want to show you those. And then of course we will get into your questions with hashtag #AskStuffandThings. So thanks for coming along. Let me take a sip of coffee and we'll jump right in. All right, upcoming videos. One upcoming video that will be in the next couple weeks has to do with the present I'm going to be talking about towards the end of the show, so I'm not going to go into that yet. What we will be showing you, what I will be showing you this next Wednesday will be a review for a cool new minimalist wallet. It is the Znap by Slimpuro. That's the box that it comes in. Here's the actual wallet. I've done so many wallet reviews on this channel, and it got to the point where I had to start telling companies that I wasn't going to review their wallets anymore because I would just get lots of email messages from people wanting me to review wallets. And some of my wallet reviews, especially the very first one I did, the Saddleback Front Pocket ID wallet review, that's got to be about 6 years back now that I did this review. This has tens of thousands of views on it. And so a company will see that and they'll say, hey, this person is an influencer who might be good to send a wallet to, have them review the wallet. And it got to the point where there's just too many. I mean, I've reviewed this, I think this, lots of really nice wallets, lots of really nice pieces of leather. They all kind of follow that minimalist, low-profile design that I prefer. I don't carry wallets in my back pocket. And this one is similar. It's really cool. I've been using this for a couple weeks now. And I should say they didn't sponsor a video or pay me or anything. They just provided the wallet for me to review. But it's the Znap by Slimpuro. Watch the review on Wednesday. I think you might like it. It is an aluminum and leather design. So it has like one big piece of milled aluminum where you keep your cards. And then it has a section here where you can keep your notes. And it's very cool. I like it quite a bit. It's a little thicker than some of these other thin minimalist wallets, but the footprint is obviously much smaller. So check out the review of the Znap wallet by Slimpuro which will be this Wednesday. We also have the Hitman series continuing on Stuff and Things Plays. A lot of you seem to be enjoying that. And then as I mentioned, we're going to have a pipe-related video coming up where I'm talking about, actually I guess you didn't know it was going to be pipe-related, but the gifts that I got were pipe-related. And that will be coming up probably next week, not this coming Wednesday, but maybe the Wednesday after that. We'll see. Got lots of stuff in the works. I've got my little Canon app up here now, looking at the focus box that is right over my eyeball. I wonder if you can see that if I try to show it to the camera. Maybe it'll show you that. See, now it's going to focus on that though. But anyway, I'm trying to make sure by looking at this that my autofocus is doing what I want it to do. It was so irritating when I did those videos and then realized they were out of focus and then not being able to figure out why, because I kept doing experiments where I would have the camera and it was focusing on me perfectly. Anyway, hopefully that is behind us. Still working out the kinks with the new camera. I mentioned that I had a response, or lots of responses from you from last week when I was trying to ask your help, trying to figure out what genre, what you would call the music, any particular artists who are making the music that you hear over top of so many YouTube videos, especially a couple years ago. It was ubiquitous. Now it seems like maybe a lot of the main YouTubers have kind of moved on, but there are a lot of people, as I mentioned, like 52-year-old men who are talking about like knife sharpening, and then there'll be this like EDM kind of music in the background with the vocals going on, and it would drive me insane. I was just trying to figure out what it is. And one of you, or actually several of you wrote in and said that it might be lo-fi hip hop, but that's not what I was thinking of, because lo-fi, I have heard, it's not anywhere near as egregious as I find this other kind of music, and I actually kind of enjoy some of those lo-fi hip-hop beats. Some people mentioned that it was just EDM, like electronic dance music, but somebody in particular, and I'm sorry, I forgot to write down your name, but I got one comment that said, hey, it's this DJ called Ikson, I-K-S-O-N. Now, I had never heard that name before, but I looked up a video. I think they sent me a link to a video, and it is the exact music. And from what I could tell, this person provides all this music free of charge. You don't have to buy a license or anything. You can put it on your video. All you have to do is credit him in the video, which is great. That's a very nice thing to do. And I don't know if it was just the same person doing all of this, and then people were just grabbing all this because it was free and easy to use, or if there were other DJs, other people doing this video or this kind of music, and it was just sort of this copycat kind of thing. Somebody else mentioned someone called DJ Quads. I don't know, but I'm going to briefly play a clip of an Ikson song just to show you what I mean. Here we go. Yeah, so there you go. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's just, it became so ubiquitous that it was just freaking me out, and I could not figure out where it came from or why it was so ubiquitous. So maybe if I had only heard it on a couple videos, it never would have really occurred to me. It's just like, oh, it's fine background music. But since I just saw it so often, it just drove me a little bit insane. So now I know. I still don't know what it's called exactly. I mean, it is just, it's DJ, it's EDM kind of stuff, but it's Ikson, or it seems like Ikson was the main perpetrator of this kind of music. I shouldn't say that because obviously it's cool that they're putting that out for free, but anyway, we've gotten to the bottom of that. Next, if you've been following along with the Stuff and Things or Sunday Stuff and Things, you will have seen that we got a bunch of snow in Bellingham for a while. I know a lot of people throughout the entire country were getting a lot of snow, the country being the United States. That's where I am. And I live in Washington, Western Washington, Northwestern Washington. Anyway, we got quite a bit of snow, and I was talking about kind of how that sort of put work on hold for a while. And then, I guess, last week it started melting, and basically there's this one job site we were working on where things got shut down for a while because everything was frozen. You can't pour concrete on frozen ground. Then we got all the snow, and then everything melted partially, but then refroze at night. So you had basically all this water going into these digs. I do concrete work, and it was digs for footings, for foundations. So if you can imagine, kind of clayey soil, lots of clay content, not a lot of sand or anything, so it's kind of slimy stuff to begin with. Tons of water inundates it. Water soaks through, then freezes and expands, then melts, then freezes, then melts, then freezes. We started working on the site again, and it had gotten turned into a horrible, muddy morass. I've worked in some pretty unattractive conditions throughout my life doing construction work. Things that make me uncomfortable, things that are not pleasant, things that could be painful as you're going throughout your day. But there was something about this last week that was so demoralizing, and it really made me we're gonna get kind of, I don't know, philosophical here. It really put me in mind of sort of the mind-body connection that we all have, but we're not really always aware of. Slogging through that mud, basically ankle deep, sometimes deeper, and super, super sticky. So if you put your foot down, you're there for any length, like let's say you're standing there for 20 seconds, tying a piece of steel or something, just trying to pull your foot up out of that muck is an ordeal. Your boot almost comes off every single time. You have to yank it out as hard as you can, and then you almost slip on your butt because you're standing in this just slime. And every inch of the job site was covered in it. Everything you do, you put your hammer down, it's covered in mud. You hit a nail and it splats out, mud goes everywhere. It was just, and I've worked in mud before, but I don't know, there was just something so sticky and glue-like about this stuff, and you just get it all over. It was just, I was so miserable. It's really funny for me because I can put up with a lot of discomfort. I can put up with a lot of things, and I don't know if it's just endurance that has been built up over years and years of doing physical manual labor, but you're used to being uncomfortable. Most of my time is spent being uncomfortable. And I think in some ways that's kind of a good thing for me. It teaches me, or it has taught me, that I'm not always going to be coddled. I'm not always going to be 72 degrees and perfectly just comfortable. There are going to be things that I have to put up with that I don't necessarily like, and you just get through them and it's fine. And typically I'm fine with that. But this last week, I was just so miserable. And I think it really is this weird connection between my body. I'm slogging through this mud. I feel uncomfortable. I'm wet. I'm dirty. Every step you take is a struggle. And I think that just like weighed down on my mental state to a really, really strong degree. And towards the end of the week, I just did not want to be there. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Everything takes 3 times longer than it should, and you just start feeling like this hopelessness. Like, I don't know. It was really weird. And so this weekend, I'm just trying to like put my mental state back into a good place after all that time of slogging through the mud. It was sort of literally and figuratively, because I literally was slogging through mud, but then figuratively it just made my mind just get into this weird place where it was just in this strange morass. So I don't know why I bring this up other than it just seemed interesting to me. I was out there working, trying to figure out why I was so miserable. And many of you will say, well, it's obvious you're miserable because you're doing hard work in mud. But like I said, I've done tons of things that are very uncomfortable, things that most people would probably not have fun doing, and it's always been fine. I mean, not always. There are brief periods where you're like, oh, this is miserable. But it was just affecting me so much more, and I was just trying to figure out what is going on. Why am I so miserable right now? And I think it really is just this weird mind-body connection where what I was doing physically was affecting my brain. And I'm glad that I'm not doing it right now. I hope that things dry out a little bit. And the people who are running the site, we're going to try over the weekend to do their best to get some better drainage going and everything, and hopefully things will dry out a bit. We'll see. But that wasn't fun. Not at all. Now, many of you may know that a very, very talented author and a really great guy, Peter Straub, is a viewer and a Patreon supporter. He's in fact one of our Maniac tier Patreon supporters. He is a fantastic guy, and we used to read some snippets from some of his books in the past, and I am in contact with him. If you are a Maniac supporter, I will have a Skype conversation with you, and that's basically how I kind of started interacting with Peter. He had been going through some difficult times, some health problems, and I was sort of following along with that and hoping for the best, and he's doing better now. But one aspect of his health issues that he was having is that he can no longer enjoy the pipe hobby, which really, really sucks. And it's amazing that he's still a Patreon supporter and still watches the channel, even though he can't really indulge in the hobby anymore. But that being the case, he very, very generously reached out to me and asked if I would like some of his pipes that he can't use anymore. And he sent 3 of them to me, and they are so cool. They're so fantastic. I'm just gonna briefly show them to you now, but I do wanna do a video, like I said, maybe in 1 or 2 weeks, where I really focus in on them and really give you a good look at them. But they're so fantastic. The first one he sent is this. It is a Mark Tinsky. Many of you will have heard of Mark Tinsky. He is an American artisanal pipe maker, and this is one of his beautiful sandblasts in kind of a calabash shape. I've always loved the look of the sandblast that Mark Tinsky does, and I've always wanted one. They're always fairly pricey, but it looks like it has an acrylic stem. It's a great pipe, and I have used it several times and enjoyed it quite a bit. So we'll be taking a look at that. Peter, thank you so much for that. It's so generous, and it really sucks that you can't enjoy it anymore, but I'm so appreciative that you decided to send it to me. We also have this really cool Castello. That's right. Castello, sort of smokestack shape, and then kind of a long shanked, small stemmed saddle bit. It has that really cool, I think they call it Fuma. I'll have to make sure I look all this up before I do the actual video, but where they have that darkened area around the bowl that I think looks really cool. A really nice sea rock briar finish, lovely. And then we also have this Castello, a smooth, not my very first smooth. I guess I have a Castello that's part smooth, part rusticated. But this is my first completely smooth Castello, basically very similar in shape to the other. But this one has this beautiful, like, tiger striping grain pattern on it. Just a beautiful pipe. They're all fantastic. They're Castellos, so they're obviously all fantastic. But thank you so much, Peter. That was so generous of you. And you guys will definitely be seeing more of these on the channel. And like I said, I plan to do a video specifically focusing on those pipes. Eventually, I may do a video where I'm just talking about all my Castellos, because I did one about Dunhills, all my Dunhills recently as well. So it's just amazing that I can say Dunhills in plural form and Castellos in plural form. But yeah, pretty cool, pretty amazing gift. Thank you so much, Peter. And now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings, and that is where you ask me questions. You can tweet at me or at SATBradley on Twitter with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings. You can leave comments with questions. You can get in touch with me through Patreon if you are a Patreon supporter. We don't have a ton of questions this week. 1, 2, 3. About 3, or no, there should be another one. Oh yeah, 4. There are 4 questions this week, so please keep them coming. I love answering your questions, interacting with you in that way. The first is via Patreon from Krisztian Kovacs, one of our very generous Patreon supporters. Krisztian says, I heard rumors about the possibility of a shortage of coffee beans, not having enough people to look after the coffee plants and pick them, etc. Is it possible that the same thing could affect the tea growing industry? What do you think? Would there be a shortage of teas in the next year or two as the pandemic continues? As a knock-on effect, it might drive up the price for tea. Shall I stock up or just have faith in the system and see how it will turn out? And another question, what books do you read these days? Cheers, Krisztian. Thanks for the question, Krisztian, very much, and thank you very much for being a Patreon supporter. This is something that I think we're going to be dealing with in many realms, and it won't just be coffee, it won't just be tea, as Krisztian mentioned. There are so many secondary effects of all these lockdowns that we've been having throughout the world, and I think that we will start feeling those effects within the coming years, and they will probably last for years and years. I don't know what will happen with coffee. I don't know what will happen with tea, but I would assume that there will be maybe shortages. There won't be as much supply. Just thinking about all sorts of different aspects, entertainment, things that like movie productions that haven't been, in production while all the COVID stuff has been going on. Just so many different things. People talking about video game production. So many things are going to be delayed. Things have already been delayed. Entertainment, art, food, like everything. Everything is going to be affected by this. I don't know to what degree, hopefully not a ton, but yeah, as far as stocking up, I don't know. I don't like anything that leads people to have a run on a product. We saw that when all of this stuff first started happening, when you couldn't get toilet paper in the US. That was ridiculous. It didn't need to happen. It was still being produced. If people hadn't gone crazy and panic buyed, it would have been available for everybody. So I don't want people to start panic buying anything, but I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for the question, Krisztian. This is via Twitter. It's from ya boy Ted at I_like_SAT. Teddy says, play Ghost of Tsushima on the channel when you finish it. Enjoyed the content very much. I know you probably started playing it on your own so you wouldn't have to wait around, but our family thoroughly enjoyed the video. Well, thanks, Ted. I always appreciate hearing from you and the rest of your family. I don't know that I will ever play Ghost of Tsushima on the channel. I really loved that game, but I also platinumed it. It's the only game I have ever platinumed in my entire life. I did everything. Basically, I 100%ed it. I've 100%ed other games, but this is the first, I haven't had a PS4 for that long, and it's the first game that on a PS4 that I've ever platinumed or 100%ed. So it would be tough for me to jump into it again right away, and a lot of the appeal, I think, in the videos I do on Stuff and Things Plays is the fact that I'm usually going in blind. So we'll see. I'm really hoping for a sequel, and I'm also hoping for any sort of like single-player DLC. But if there is a sequel, I will definitely play it on the channel. Well, I'm not gonna say definitely, maybe definitely. We shall see, but thanks for the question, Ted. And then from Over a Pipe, at Over a Pipe. I'm sorry I missed this. I guess there was some sort of thread going on Twitter where people were asking for some kind of response. I'm not exactly sure if they wanted a YouTube video or something, but let me just say, I don't use Twitter very much. I mostly use it just to interact with people who send me questions. I used to have a link between YouTube and Twitter where anything I posted on YouTube would show up on Twitter, but they axed that for some reason, so I don't tweet typically. So it's mostly just to contact people, and it's usually every weekend. I check it when I'm getting ready to do my Sunday Stuff and Things. So if you're trying to get in touch with me throughout the week, I don't necessarily see it until the weekend. And then as a whole, I probably am not going to if someone says, hey, I challenge you to make a video about this, it may or may not be able to do that. My schedule is very tight as far as making videos, but I thought this was fairly interesting. I guess it's a 5-blend challenge, and he wanted people to respond, and basically you're supposed to pick your everyday blend, your OTC blend, your Friday night blend, your blend to impress, and your special occasion blend. Everyday blend, everyone knows, is Elizabethan. That's not any big secret. OTC blend, I don't have one. I never, ever, ever, ever do any OTCs, and that sounds probably more stuck up than I intend it to be, but it's just I'm always either reviewing something or I have other blends that I just kind of always have in stock and always enjoy. Friday night blend, I mean, Friday night isn't a special occasion for me. It's typically just whatever blend I'm reviewing, or Elizabethan, or something like standard mixture, some of my old favorites that I have all the time. Blend to impress. I'm not sure how to interpret that. Maybe if I were with someone who is also a pipe hobbyist, what would I give them? Maybe something that I didn't think they'd had before. I do have several jars of Penzance put away, so maybe I'd crack one of those open and give it to someone for them to enjoy. something like that that's a little rare, hard to get a hold of. And then special occasion, that would probably be my tin. I have several tins of Elizabethan that are pretty old, that have 6 or 7 years on them. So that might be something I'd crack open for a special occasion, maybe celebrating a milestone or a birthday or something like that. So thank you, Over a Pipe, at Over a Pipe, for that. And then this one is maybe too long to even try to get into, but Shannon P via YouTube says, "What's your favorite album and movie? That is all." These questions are always so hard for me to answer, and I typically can never just pick one movie or one album. I will say that recently I was watching this little documentary on the Kinks Village Green Preservation Society, their album they put out in '68, I think. And in spite of some issues I had with the production of the documentary, it was really cool to see they had people like Paul Weller, Graham Coxon from Blur, they had Noel Gallagher, and then they had Ray Davis and Dave Davis themselves talking. I think this was made like in the last couple years, talking about the making of the Village Green Preservation Society. That is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's a fantastic, amazing album. The Kinks are one of my favorite bands of all time, and that album, maybe their best. It's between that and Something Else. Not Something Else, but the album is called Something Else. But it's just an amazing album. You should check it out if you like 60s music, British music, or if you just like music at all. Something Else by the Kinks. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite of all time, but it's something that I've been enjoying a lot recently, and I've always loved it. Movie, that's just too hard. It's too hard to pick. My fiance and I just rewatched The Godfather for the first time in a long time. That was fun. I like a lot of movies. I really love Wes Anderson. I can't pick one though, but thank you for the question. All right, gang, I think that's it. I think we did it for this week's Sunday Stuff and Things. But before we go, it is time for the very best part of each Sunday Stuff and Things, and that is where we thank you, the Patreon supporters. If you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below. We can't monetize any videos that have anything to do with the pipe stuff, so it always helps to have people on Patreon lending us a hand. It helps me get blends for review, camera equipment, all that good stuff, so we really appreciate it. And those who support the channels at $25 or more a month get a special shout out. And I would like to thank people like Kirk Crompton, Glenn, Gus, Jason Buckner, Jen O'Side, John Leone, Krisztian Kovacs, Joshua Jackson, Gloria Phillips, MDoftheNorth, and Ryan McFadin. And I'd also like to thank the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Peter Straub, as we mentioned, he's also a very generous gift giver, Bob Magee, and David Gaudreau. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out the Znap wallet review by Slimpuro, which will be this Wednesday. Also, the Hitman series, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Stuff and Things Plays. We will be having a video about these amazing pipes coming up soon. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been Bradley. This has been Stuff and Things on a pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.